So I think that's how society usually is. People just really watch, at least back in the day, would really be careful what they do. So I was not used to really being able to express the way I wanted to express. So I just, no matter what my style is, I used to just dress very simple because that's just what it was.
Mm-hmm. Do you take that into consideration when you make your clothes?
No. Yes and no, actually. Let me think about it. Yes. I'm not gonna lie, yes. But I don't take it into consideration. I try not to, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when I design something, sometimes something in the back of my head is like, but will they like it? Is it too edgy? Is it too much? Blah, blah, blah. But I try to shut it down because that type of thought process is limiting, and it kills your creativity. So I still have that. I still carry that with me, and I'm trying to get it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that I do take into consideration. I do try not to take it into consideration. It's in my head, but I try to shut it down as much as I can.
What gives you that spark of just being creative? Because sometimes it's like you don't have any energy to make something or do anything. So what gives you that boost, or like when you're down creatively, what gives you that creative spark? For me, it's listening to freaking Nipsey and Jay-Z song. What it feels like. We listen to that, I'm just like, let's go make something.
For me, I just I like watching the fashion shows. It's really inspiring for me. And then, I don't know, it's just me. Sometimes I just look through my designs, because sometimes I get to a space where I'm just like, oh my God, there's only so many shirts you can make, It's just like, a shirt is a shirt.
Yeah.
How many shirts can you design? Like, how many possibilities? Sometimes I get to a space where I'm stuck. I just look at what I've designed before, and it helps me. I'm just like, oh shoot, I really did that. And then, so it helps me remember there's like unlimited things that I can make. And then I watch fashion shows, and then Pinterest. I go on Pinterest. I like shapes. I look at shapes and colors and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
These are the type of things that inspire me. And then whenever I see a good outfit on Instagram, that can inspire me really quickly. And a muse, like a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
I'd be like, ooh, I could dress her. And then I just figure out what I would dress her in. Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it does take more than that. Sometimes I really have to meditate and do a bunch of stuff, because creative blocks are real, and sometimes it's very intense for me, but usually these things just get me in the right place.
Yeah. What do you do or see to help with marketing?
Marketing, I'm still figuring it out. I'm still analyzing my insights and stuff like that, because it's still fairly new.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying my hand at different platforms, different, Facebook does ads, Twitter does ads, IG does ads, and then you have influencers, and then you have aesthetic pages. You have all these things. So I'm still just in the process of trying things out, trying different promotions, looking at how many people it's reaching, how many interactions I get, what it's actually bringing onto the website. So I don't yet have a formula. I'm just testing around to see what works, what type of posts appeal to people more, what type of posts pull people more, those type of things. So I'm still trying to figure out what works specifically for my business.
When you do make a brand and you see people not gonna cater to people in their own culture, it's like, how do you combat that with something you're doing in this, how other people are doing that with other big businesses also, if you get what I'm saying?
I think that being pro-Black is great, and supporting Black businesses is great, and personally that's something that I like to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not really about whether it's your community or not. It's about trust. You have to build that trust at the end of the day. People are more comfortable purchasing from brands that are already established, that they know they're not going to be scammed. You know, they know they're not going to be scammed. They know it's legit. They know the product is good because obviously they've been in business for a long time, et cetera, et cetera. So that it's more so the trust that you have to build. But obviously it's hard to build trust if people are not willing to take the chance. So it's a gamble. So you just literally have to grind and market and build your audience, build your customer base to be able to get to that point. So I do understand it, and it's very difficult for Black people, I think, because I think sometimes Black people are more skeptical of Black people than other people. Like if a person opens a company, I think sometimes there's a bias that we have our own. We already assume that it's not going to be great, or that that the customer service is not going to be great, or the product is not going to be great. I don't know why, and that's definitely something we need to look into and get rid of. But I do understand in the most basic sense that the foundation is really about trust at the end of the day. So it doesn't really matter if they're pro-Black or not, or if you're Black or not. You just have to gain that trust. So,
even what you said, not a lot of people see behind the scenes. Like for example, when I even who can I say that said this? I don't know exactly, but usually, let's say celebrities, they're like, oh man, people, they don't see the work that we do. People always see the end product instead of all the stuff we go through. But it's like they don't put that stuff out for people to see. So of course we're just gonna see the end product and not what you put in, because we don't see that. So at the same time, I see like you can't blame people for just praising the end product because they don't see what you had to do. That's why I like seeing like documentaries and behind the scenes of how stuff is made, because
it really helps you appreciate stuff a lot more.
Yeah. And also another thing on Netflix, the Kevin Hart thing, his, I think, not stand up, but it was a documentary. Like, it really showed how his work ethic was, and like all the behind the scenes of how he gets stuff done. And that was like very cool to see, because you actually see all the work he puts in, and not just him. He just goes on stage, tells some jokes, goes home. Nah.
I think about it. You gotta, it's a lot of planning behind the scenes. And that's the thing too. It's kind of like, I think it takes away from the fairy tale and luxury of creativity when you show people what you're doing. So I think that's why a lot of people don't show it, especially if you're a perfectionist, like what I was saying earlier, when I wouldn't really show anyone what I was doing. It's just hard to it takes a level of vulnerability to show people something from scratch when it's not its best, when it's just a skeleton. So I feel like a lot of people feel like it takes away from the end product if they show it where it started and the struggles that came with getting to where it is. Because, a lot of creative people and successful people have imposter syndrome. They're like they just feel like they're not as great, or what they did is not as great because they had a couple struggles and hiccups along the way. It's like in their head, they have to just have been able to come up with it just like that without having any struggles, any problems. And that's not realistic. And I'm speaking to myself right now because I think that way too.
Yeah.
So it's just when it's hard sometimes to show the beginning process. Like, I wouldn't really want people to see my first samples when I tried to make those designs, and how I had to adjust it like 50 times for it to fit properly, and me learning how to make patterns from scratch, and how many papers I had to freaking throw away and stuff like that. It's just not, the process is not always pretty. And the end product, when you see the end product, it's just like, oh shit, this is dope. But when you see the process, I think people who create, they think it takes away from the prestige. It takes away from the what's the word? Like, I feel like people think it takes away from it, from how great that end product is, if they see how much they struggled to get there, is what I mean.
I get what you're saying.
But I feel like it's important to show that too, because that's how the artist thinks. That's how the creator thinks. But the audience, I think, they appreciate it more when they see where it started and where it ended.
Yeah.
So, but I would love to I love documentaries too. I love to see, like, especially with music and stuff like that. For example, like how someone created a beat from scratch, and when someone's singing, the ad libs and this and that, like how many things they had to do and add for it to sound the way it sounds. I think that's amazing. It makes you appreciate a lot more, I think.
I would say that's it. I don't want to take up all your time, and then you still have to go eat. I can go on.
But if you do have any other questions, you could just shoot me a message. I'll answer. No problem. Oh, yeah. Even if it's voice note, that's fine too.
Mm-hmm. But I know for sure I'd like to have you on the pod, though. But with that, we're having you on the pod. I would like for it to be an organic thing, so whenever the timing is right.
Yeah, that would be dope. I wouldn't mind. It should be fun. Just let me know.